Welcome to Talk Dirt to Me, where two farmers shatter myths and take on the top issues facing America's farmers. Here's your hosts, Logan and Bobby Lee.
What's going on, everybody?
Yes, good morning. How's everybody doing?
Man, pretty good this morning. I'm actually drinking my regular coffee today.
Caffeinated coffee? Yeah, we got a little frosty here this morning. What about y'all, Steven?
Yeah, we had a little bit of frost this morning and yesterday morning too, so it's that time of year.
Yeah, today's our first one. I think we're probably going to have another one tomorrow morning, and it's going to warm right back up.
Yeah, I know. I hate that. I love this weather.
Yeah, can't ever tell. Ride that roller coaster all fall long.
Yep. Well, guys, before we get in real quick, we got a special guest episode for y'all, but we got to give a shout out to our agsaga.com. Go on there and get you any good product you can possibly think of. They got a bunch. You know, we've talked about all the hoses and everything else on there. And, you know, hey, it's out of hay season really now. So
hey, I'm going to the field to roll a little hay. Well, once that frost gets melted off this morning, here a little while, and still got some I need to cut. But, yeah, use that discount code, Talk Dirt, all caps, all one word, 10% off, whatever you buy.
Yep, do that. So, yeah, we got a really cool episode today. And, man, it's probably going to be one that's, I hope, opens some people's eyes.
Yeah, I certainly do. Which, Steven, tell everybody who you are.
Yeah, thanks, Bobby. I'm Steven Huff. I'm over here in Northeast Tennessee. I work for Tennessee Farm Bureau Federation, and born and raised here all my life, and just been involved in ag from the day I was born, and went to school and got a bachelor's and master's degree in agriculture, and still living it every day. I living the dream. Sometimes it may not always be my dream, but it's been good stuff.
Good deal. Yeah, Steven and I went to school together, which we were just talking. It's getting close to 20 years ago. But yeah, so obviously a lot been going on in your region these last, I guess started a little over, was it 2.5, 3 weeks ago? Yeah. And wanted to kind of talk about some of the challenges y'all are facing, and still not even sure about everything, but just tell us a little bit about what's been going on.
Yeah, and what the heck's even happening? I mean, I feel like you see one thing here and another thing there. Like, hell, I don't know. I have no clue what's actually going on.
Yeah, that's right. So, just I guess a little over 2 weeks ago, we had a rain event. The Hurricane Helene hit Florida and kept strength and made its way north into Georgia and just kept coming. And, nobody up here really expected to get near what we got. There's never been a hurricane do what Helene did. And, always before we've been fortunate, whether it hits the East Coast or the Gulf Coast, we'll get a little bit of rain somewhere in Tennessee, and it's probably a pretty timely rain and beneficial. Yeah. But this one packed a little bit different punch, and it got right on the East Tennessee, North Carolina line there, and just dumped a bunch of rain. We were fortunate, East Tennessee. We've been dry all summer, and folks say things happen for a reason, and it's more prevalent now that I believe things happen for a reason. The good Lord's looking out for us by making us dry all summer, because we got anywhere from 5 to 10 inches of rain in the area that I work in. And, normally if we'd had normal rainfall, we would have been flooded from that. There would have been creeks that normally flood from 4 or 5 inches of rain that didn't. We've got a creek that runs through our farm, a little sinking creek, and, a couple inches of rain in a normal year, that creek's going to get up and flood and get out of its banks. And, that's just normal. But we got 8 inches of rain. That creek never got out of its banks. And so everybody thought, well, this is okay and everything's good. But just across the North Carolina border, they got close to 30 inches of rain.
That is crazy.
And nobody really expected that much rain. Yeah. So 30 inches of rain, and they might get a rain over there and it not rain any over here, and our creeks and some of our rivers get muddy just from that rainfall. And that amount of rainfall coming down, and you've got a couple of lakes up there and dams that they opened water up and sent our direction, and then it was all over from there. The rivers rose higher and faster than they ever have before.
Yeah. So, and I know, of course, a lot of it, just road destruction and everything. How about, the folks in some of those remote areas? Are there still people that still haven't been able to get to in terms of, road traffic and that kind of thing? How has that come over these last couple of weeks?
Yeah, there are folks that were only able to hike into or pack horses or mules and pack supplies into them. And, there's even folks last week that were using Blackhawks from the U.S. Army to fly supplies in and drop. So that's a lot of that's still going on. You were talking about the frost and those folks that lost their homes. There's a lot of people living in tents right now. Because they don't have anywhere to go, and they don't have any way of getting out. If they do still have a home, they probably don't have electricity in some of those mountainous areas. And so, we've been trying to get them supplies to keep warm and supplies to eat, and it's just been a real struggle to think about folks that live through that, and now they've got to continue to live through temperature change and whatever weather's to come next.
When we went to Gatlinburg this year, last year, hell, I can't, all the years bleed together to me now, but took a family trip to Gatlinburg, and my brother-in-law, actually, he's a big turkey hunter, and it was right during turkey season. So he actually went and hunted some public land out there, and he was walking a ridge. And from where he was, he could look down, and it was the town, like one of the towns out there. And he was talking about how it's down in this valley. So then you think about these massive amounts of rain. There's only one place for it to go. And that's why because some people, I know I've seen people are like, man, how in the world was there so much destruction? And it's like, well, there's nowhere that's where the water had to go.
Yeah, it's hard for us flatlanders to kind of picture it,
Yeah.
But
over in the flat country, the water raises up and just kind of hangs out and goes back down. And
down here it's running
downhill the whole way.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's been wild to see. I can't even imagine 30 inches of rain in one of just rainfall. That's what do we get like 56 inches a year? That's a lot of rain compared to a lot of other states. But then you think about, that's over half of our annual rainfall in one moment.
Yeah. Do they have any figures, or I'm sure it's all still coming in on total, just number of homes, number of lives that have been lost? Or, I guess those numbers may still be going up, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think they are. I've not seen anything official that I would feel comfortable saying a number on homes and structures and things like that. It's pretty devastating. Anybody within, several hundred yards or half a mile of the river in some spots, just depending on how those rivers flowed, were either flooded or washed away, and it's homes just completely gone and nothing but the foundation filled with mud, and there was a guy the other day, I heard a story he was telling. They found a tractor tire and rim, and it was about half covered in mud and silt. And they go over with the front end loader on the tractor and hook a strap to it, try to pull it up out of the ground and haul it off. Well, the tractor wouldn't move it. And so they pulled an excavator over there and got to digging around. Sure enough, it was an 8000 series John Deere, totally buried with nothing but the rear tire showing out of the ground. And so how do you even begin to know where things are compared to where they were and how far they washed? And, there's things that may be buried that folks in our lifetime never see. It may be artifacts in 1,000 years. Somebody digs up and says, well, here's a John Deere 4020, I don't know. It's the infrastructure for sure was took a huge hit. Not only roads washed out, but bridges. There are folks traveling an extra 30, 45 minutes just to get to work, and it's affected everybody, not just those that have lost homes or farmland or something like that. Folks that live up in the high country just trying to get to work, they've got to travel 45 minutes south to get to a bridge to cross, and then drive another 30 to 45 minutes back into another town to get to work every day. Not to mention the power and water issues.
Yeah.
So it's just about 7 counties worth of folks really, really struggling right now.
Yeah. And I know, I guess when I talked to you last week, it was a hospital that had flooded. And I mean, I assume all that's going to be months before any of that's, not years before a lot of that can even be, functional again.
Yeah, there's a rumor that the company that operates that hospital is not going to open it back. It was damaged that bad. Now, whether they'll tear it down and build a new one, I'm not sure, but that one's pretty well done. And, kind of give kudos to social media for once. There was folks south, downriver from that hospital there in Irwin, Tennessee, Unicoi County, that seen on social media folks posting Unicoi County Hospital being evacuated, and now all of a sudden they're getting on the roof and folks pulling up in boats and helicopters evacuating them. And in some cases, that was the first sign folks down our way had that the river was up, and they're like, oh shoot, this all this water that they're evacuating from is coming my way. We need to get our crap together and move equipment up to higher ground and get out of Dodge. And so social media, in my opinion, I think saves some lives in that regard and getting folks out of Dodge and away from that flood water.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It's just, I don't know. Like I said, it's just still, it's hard for me to fathom. Like I'm thinking back to how many years ago was it when the Mississippi got up to like 40 foot?
Oh, I got close to 50. Yeah, that would have been either 10 or 11.
Okay. Yeah. Dang, I can't believe it's been that long ago. But that's kind of what I'm imagining, just because I remember driving down the hill and it was just water.
Right.
And that's what, man, water is powerful, man. It's just, that's what I've never had. I like going to the beach with my family and doing that thing, but I have never had any desire to live close to like the ocean. But it's just, that's why it's so wild that destruction came. I mean, because that ain't near the ocean, like where this took place. I mean, I think I just know that some of the early stuff, people were like, man, I can't believe a hurricane did that kind of damage in East Tennessee. Like, it's stuff like that, man. You never know.
Yeah. I was listening to another podcast. They were talking about their kids were learning about different storm systems in school. And I think the husband had made a comment that, oh, hurricane, we don't have to worry about that. And his wife, after the storm was like, do you remember having that conversation with the kids? And it's like, yeah, because exactly. Well, we're like you, a lot of times hurricane hits in the Gulf, we'll get some rain from that. And we're always like, well, we hope nobody gets, minimal destruction, but it's typically fall of the year, we're getting a little dry. Like,
need a little water.
We're not going to cuss a little rain, but yeah, you don't need it like that for sure. And Mother Nature's, But
yeah, and that just talking about the destruction of the river, it's totally changed the landscape all the way down the river. Not just the roads and bridges that it's washed out. It's got up. There was some projections that at the dam it was at like 32 feet or something like that. But one of the local volunteer fire departments at one of the bridges that it washed out back earlier in the year had measured from the bridge to the water level to see if they had enough equipment to draft water to fight fire with. And they measured it, and it was 72 feet from the water level to that bridge. And that water rose high enough to hit the platform of that bridge and take it out. So 72 feet at that point is how high that water got. And, you just think any low line bottom ground is just going to get every bit of that. And it didn't, you think of a corn crop, well, there's a lot of corn that got laid over from that, but it laid trees over just like it was corn stalk, and uprooted massive trees. And, it just, and that's part of the destruction between the buildings and homes and trees that was traveling down that water. Sure helped take out a lot of bridges. They put a strainer across the lake where all this water dumps in. They put a strainer across Douglas Lake to keep all the debris from hitting Douglas Dam and causing even more destruction. So they've kind of got it held up right there. I'm not sure how you'd even begin to clean that up, but they've got it stopped for now.
Was it like, I wonder, I mean, again, I guess it's hard to say, but wonder how much as cropland goes. I mean, I'm sure it was pretty total devastation on the cropland. And yeah, I'm imagining the fields, like the river bottoms down here, you have something like that. I mean, it can change your whole farm. Your land may not even be the same after that gets back off of there.
Yeah. There's a lot of folks that are wondering if they'll ever be able to farm some of that land again. Yeah. Just because a lot of the soil is gone. It's down to rocks that nobody's ever seen before. And it's widened in a lot of places, widened that riverbank, several feet from what it was before. And, there's some guys that farmed River Bluff land, and they're like, sure wish I had some bottom land, but now they're thankful they had that bluff because that bluff protected them. It's just high enough to keep the water from getting in the ground. And, we were right at the point where we're going to start harvesting too. There's been a lot of folks chopping silage, and that was pretty much at the end of that. But folks getting geared up to get beans and corn out of the field, and it's gone. There's no point in even trying at this point. We went from all year, it was going to be a pretty sorry crop, and we knew that. Well, now we went from having a sorry crop to no crop. Yeah, and that's taking a toll on folks.
Is that? I'm curious on like the crop insurance side. I wonder, because I know down here in the river bottom, I don't think they like to necessarily do like a flood insurance. I know there's like what do they call it? Catastrophic, like cat insurance, which is a catastrophic loss. Yeah. Do most of those guys, you think, have that? Or do you think, did some of them literally just lose it?
I'd hate to speculate on that number, but I think a lot of them probably didn't have insurance because, there's never been that catastrophic failure before. And, folks that don't have crop insurance at all. Yeah. So, they've just lost it.
See, and that's something, anytime something happens like this on the farm and you see farmers lose it, on one of the sides that annoys me on social media is you have all the idiots that are like, well, they got insurance, they're going to get paid. They'll get a check. They'll do this and that. And it's like, man, you don't know as much as you think you do.
Yeah, that's right. A lot of these guys over here that are in the row crop business, some of them have been in the dairy business, and, they didn't have crop insurance then. They had insurance on milk loads if they sent a hot load out that they didn't lose $100,000 and insurance covered that. But, they just got the faith that good Lord's going to take care of them, and, we'll have bad years and then there'll be good years make up the difference. And then you throw this in there and, wondering, well, what are we going to do next? Are we going to do this next year, or are we just going to call this and quit? So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, dairy folks have long had a hard way to go just in terms of all the other dynamics and kind of how that, is controlled and whatnot. And so, and dairy folks are a different kind of breed, the way they 365 days a year, you hear them never taking a vacation. It's definitely a lifestyle. And then, something like this, which I'm sure folks lost animals. There's no doubt, and again, kind of one of those things, how long before you even know what the total loss was there? Lost feed, hay they put up, which kind of on the subject of, how folks can help. How is that situation going in terms of people being able to just get by right now before they even get ready to the rebuilding phase?
Yeah, so we've been real blessed with the help that's come in from all over, and we've been in a good spot for the most part. Folks have got some green grass still that we had some, that 8 inches of rain we had greened the grass right up and got it to growing, and there's not a huge need for hay feeding right now. You've got some folks that have had to hem some livestock up, and they're kind of confined feeding them there just to kind of keep everything in one spot till they figure out where does the fence even need to go now. They're feeding some hay and some sack feed and some different things. But, for the most part, cattle are still on grass and doing okay. But the long-term need, and we've had a lot of hay come in, and we need that, and we're blessed by that, don't get me wrong, but the long-term need is folks to feed hay through the winter. We've had folks that have hay barns that got washed away with every bit of the hay they feed through the winter. It wasn't a surplus that, well, if we have this barn left, we'll sell it to somebody. It's that barn had 1,000 rolls to feed, these 200 head of cattle, and it's gone. The barn's gone, the hay's gone, equipment to feed's gone, trailers to go pick up hay if some folks need it. They don't even have a way to go get it when we're getting it donated. So we're working on getting it to them. But, we've got a lot of folks that are going to need hay from, Thanksgiving to Easter maybe. So, there's been a good amount of hay come in, but, we're going to need some help. And, there's a lot of local folks. I mean, we've got some folks that didn't mow hay a third time that are mowing right now, just like y'all talking about getting out in the field when we finish up. And we've got some rolls that we just mowed, and we're going to have a surplus. And, it's not much, but if everybody send 25 or 50 bales from right here in the next few months when people need it, it's really going to help out. But there's been folks on my phone. I've missed several calls since we've been visiting with you all. Folks wanting to bring hay in from all over. We had a delivery from Canada yesterday. Wow. We've had hay come from New Jersey, Georgia, Arkansas, Indiana, Illinois, Kentucky, you name it. All the folks in our area have been sending hay and supplies, and we're really blessed.
Yeah, I'd seen a picture on something. They were actually loading Chinook helicopters with like square bales of hay and stuff and flying them into places. It's been some crazy looking stuff. And, and I mean, I know a lot of churches, our church has sent some stuff, and that's what it seems like. The churches have been really, really helping out a lot. And I mean, Manatee, I think the thing that everybody's wondering is, because I've seen so much confliction or conflicting things about, all right, is FEMA and all them, are they helping, or like what? I feel like I read one thing one day that says they are, and then I hear somebody there that says they're not. And so what is going on there?
So they're here. I have not laid eyes on a single FEMA employee yet, and that's fine. I'm not exactly sure what they're doing, but, like you say, the churches have stepped up quick. About any church in a 7 or 8 county area that have been affected is just really blowing and going right now is helping people. And a few of those have been identified by FEMA as places to come sign up for the FEMA funds, different things like that. And I have also heard rumors that, and it's from folks that I believe is telling the truth, that, we tried to get a semi-load of supplies in there, and they turned the bottled water and the clothes away, but they took all the rest of the stuff. Yeah. And that was FEMA that done that. Now, why would you do that? I really can't comprehend, but, I wasn't in the spot to call anybody out and ask them right in the moment. That's kind of secondhand information, but the folks that told me, I believe it to be true. And I think that's happening more than we're hearing, honestly, is, certain things that people are taking and FEMA or whoever the government agency is just turning things away. Maybe there's a surplus of bottled water. I don't know. But there are folks in Roan Mountain that still don't have electricity and water. So why would you turn away water right now when those folks may need it through the end of the year?
Right. And what about, you hear, thing on the news, the $750, federal assistance to people. Is that, accurate? Or is that what's going on, just in terms of, just general residents, not necessarily ag?
Yeah, I think that's for the most part true. And that's just an initial, if you were affected, sign here and here's your money. There's, that's just emergency funds.
Just to get folks
that's
by
not
for
fill out all the paperwork. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's, there's people taking advantage of the situation from FEMA funds that weren't impacted at all to folks coming and getting ag supplies that were far from anything that flooded. And, that's going to happen.
Golly, yeah.
What's the old thing? What is this saying about?
Something about never let a
disaster. It's something, about taking advantage of those kind of things. And I did see, I thought this was kind of, I like what he's saying. Old DeSantis was talking about in Florida. He basically said before the hurricane to any looters, talking about if you capitalize on this situation, one, you're very good chance you might get shot. And two, he said you will be heavily convicted if found out. Because that's what, man, it never fails. You see these things and you'll see freaking videos of people running out of stores with a TV. And like you said, they might not even have power for a month, but they're going to have like a big screen TV they're running out of the store with. And it's like, man, come on, man. There's already enough stuff going on that now that if that's where your mind goes in a disaster situation like that, to me, you are just like the worst scum of the earth.
Yeah. Which, of course, from the outside looking in, I would think, East Tennessee folks probably a little more careful about, just showing up and looting. But has that been an issue right there?
So as far as looting stores that I've heard about, none of that has been going on. And I think there would be folks show up and stop it pretty quick if it was to happen. And trust me, there are plenty of Dollar Generals in all these counties that could, be potential victims. They've got those stores every 3 miles. So
it's the same way here.
But there had been some folks last week that got caught that was driving around with a truck and trailer looting personal property. Just going through stuff that had been flooded and taking different items that probably isn't worth anything but junk price at the foundry. But it's like, why?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know when the tornadoes came through, there was a dude in Covington that got arrested. He was going through and he was actually, and people were conflicted on it because he was picking up like scrap metal and stuff off of some of these buildings, and he was going and he was selling the scrap. And his claim was that he was just trying to clean up the city.
And I'm sure he was going to donate that money to.
Donate it back. Yeah. And so, and he, everybody was like, and look at his truck. Cause he had like it was like a platinum F-250 or something. Like, he had a really nice truck and doing this. And they're like, this dude ain't doing this like out of the kindness of his heart here. He's it's unfortunate that some of these situations like that, they actually bring, I think they bring the best and the worst out, because you see people, like you say, that really will wade into the waters and help people out and all that. Then you got the other people that are almost just lurking, waiting to see what they can capitalize on.
Yeah, there's a family that lost several hundred acres in cropland that they're not going to be able to harvest, and they're not able to really do anything to clean up because that mud's still too wet to get equipment into to see where to start. And they've been, the wife of the guy's been working at the church, cooking food to take to people that need it. And then they've been out volunteering their time and helping their neighbors. And they've not even helped themselves yet. And that's, I think, the true spirit of folks in Appalachian country. And, we're helping our neighbors before we help ourselves. And there is a ton of that going on. A guy that lost a bunch of fence, he said, I'm not going to build a fence right now. My livestock are okay, but I got 100 rolls of hay I can donate when somebody needs it. He probably needs as much help as anybody else, but he's looking out for somebody before himself. It's been really cool.
Yeah, that is.
And kind of more on the government assistance, more on the ag side, I saw where the Tennessee Department of Ag with the Ag Enhancement Program, which, of course, that was all due like the first week of October, which was right in the middle of all this. And they've announced that, I guess, for the affected counties, they're going to open that window up for them. So obviously that's a small thing that they're doing to help. Has there been anything else from the state or the USDA as far as specifically helping farmers?
And Bobby Lee, I want to preface this. Bobby Lee is a huge fan of the government. He really likes for the government to step in. I just want everyone to know that.
He is Bobby Lee farming the mailbox, just every month.
That's right.
Going to the mailbox getting his check.
He is. He's got his Harris sign in his yard already. He's ready. He's actually bright. You got early voting starts today.
Does it for us?
It does. So you're probably going to go campaign later, aren't you?
Yeah, no,
Harris.
I don't know. I got a little bit of hay to roll, but after I get done early, I might go.
You got your Harris flag on your tractor, though.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's probably why he asked me that pronoun question earlier.
Yes, that's right.
Yep.
So TDA has been good to get information that we've been working on as far as getting ag supplies in. They've got an ag crimes unit that's been up in the Roan Mountain area. They've been doing a lot of search and rescue, and they've had all those guys from across the state over here working just nonstop since that happened. And, I think their support's been really good. And I think that Ag Enhancement Program for those affected counties, bumping that date because, folks didn't have power, so they didn't have internet. And then the cell phone service, the cell coverage is still bad. We can be talking to folks and it just dropped. And I guess the towers don't have power or good, stable power. I'm not sure how that works, but, that's still bad. So it wasn't like folks can just get on their telephone, fill out their ag enhancement, and everything be good to go. So, they were good to bump that to December for folks. And I think we'll see folks' priorities shift. They may have been going to get some livestock genetics or something like that in the Ag Enhancement Program this year. Well, now all of a sudden our hay equipment and our hay barns got washed away.
Yeah.
We need to do that. And so, not only did it give them time to have the ability to fill it out, I think waiting until December gives them time to figure out what in the world do I need.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I think it's really nice of them to do that. The USDA, we've been trying to recommend a lot of folks go to their FSA office before they do anything. Go sign up. There's some programs out there that'll help with the debris cleanup, any infrastructure, your fencing. You've got to take pictures before you start, do all the cleanup, build the fences back, keep all your receipts, and then go back to FSA and turn that in. And they're saying some folks could get up to 90% of that back, which is huge because folks are going to build that back whether they get help or not. But so, you think if you're out 10 or 15 grand and building fence back along the river, you're going to do it anyway. And so might as well take pictures and keep receipts and get a little help back.
Yeah, because, man, I tell you, I know like last year our prices were a lot higher, but our costs were a lot higher. I talked to a lot of guys, myself included, that we sold at good prices and we even had pretty good yields last year, but didn't make any money. And so it's bad enough you have this happen, but you have it happen it ain't that they had a huge prosperous year prior to. And so then you get into this year, and like I said, we already had bad expectations just due to the drought and whatnot. So any assistance like that, man, like I say, go talk to them. And I know, we rag on FSA and different things from time to time, but they are there to help the farmers. That's what their role is. So,
well, and this is like legitimate, there's the bad of it, the programs they have that the big operators, we always hammer on. Yeah. But then you got stuff like this. It's like, no, like these are folks absolutely in desperate times, in an industry that operates on super thin margins, and then, just, total devastation that came out of nowhere. Like this is when government should, be there to step in and help if there ever was a time. So
this is when it's good for them to show up and say, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
Well, yeah, it's a double-edged sword. Yeah. You do kind of, yeah. But
is there, what kind of response, like, do you think that they've had the proper response, or do you think that they could have done much better? The government, that is.
The government?
Yeah.
That's probably,
it's a loaded question.
Opinionated answer I'm going to give you. I think it could be better. Honestly, I think it took a long time for folks to show up, and I've heard that. Florida gets hit with hurricanes, and when Katrina come through, and New Orleans, and you just you see folks on the news. We need help quicker. Nobody's showing up, and I didn't have a good perspective of that, but that's real. I don't know where these folks are staged or where they come from, but, you can get to East Tennessee pretty quick from just about anywhere, I would think, especially D.C. The road wasn't closed from D.C. to here, if that's where they're coming from.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but could have been quicker. But, when you show up, don't be causing a hindrance. Be ready to help pitch in. Don't show up in your brand new knee boots and expect folks to think you're here to help when you don't have mud on your boots yet. So,
yeah, I can imagine. And it's interesting too, thinking about the TDA, because I've dealt with some TDA stuff through FSA, and for people listening that don't know, it's Tennessee Department of Ag, and it also kind of shows me that, man, there's all kinds of different things we've told our listeners that you can get into in ag, because you said they have an ag crimes division in TDA. And so, it's a bunch of different things for you to go into. And TDA, I don't know, maybe I'm giving them too much credit here, but I feel like TDA shouldn't be lumped in with like FEMA on this, or TEMA or whatever.
No. Yeah, the closer you get to local within the government, generally it feels like the better they are, the more trustworthy, local government, state government, a lot more so than the federal government.
Yeah.
Look, and I would say state government, the state help was here about as quick as you could ask for. You got me?
Yeah. Yeah, we got you now. I kind of had froze for just a second.
Y'all slowed down too. Okay.
The government,
the state folks showed up pretty quick. Those ag crimes guys, they were here pretty quick. Just a few days, probably Monday. Once everybody kind of got their act together and their bag packed, they were here. Boots on the ground and helping folks out. So I can't say enough about those TDA folks. They have been really good. But federal folks, like I said earlier, I still hadn't seen one of them, but maybe I'm just not in the right spot.
Yeah. Well, I did talk to a guy last night that he's a paramedic, firefighter, actually one of my other cousins was up there too, and he said they were technically working under FEMA. So I was like, okay, and they were up there, but he's now back here. They started out in Florida and then came up. They were actually over in North Carolina, but yeah, it's I don't know. It's a lot to take in. Yeah, you just don't know. Well, like we said, we're in the state, but of course we're 400 plus miles away, and so you don't know what kind of information to believe that you're seeing out there. Obviously, you see the videos, see the pictures, and you know that stuff's real. But yeah, just to wrap your mind around, the destruction and then the recovery, because the recovery, obviously, there's the short term needs, but like somebody said, the old saying, this is going to be more of a marathon than a sprint. It's going to take years, probably in many cases, to get things back. Which that's what we want people to know too, as far as, giving and helping out. Like, all the supplies coming in for the immediate needs, obviously, first and foremost, but, the rebuilding efforts, whether it's people donating supplies or money or their time, and their labor, I mean, that need is going to exist for a long time. And so, do you have any information on resources where people can reach out? Where's a good group for them to go to donate any of those sorts of things?
Yep. Our is. Yeah,
we got you.
Okay. My internet still shows it's good, but I don't know if you can trust that. About like the government, they don't know what's real. As far as
well,
donating ag supplies,
they've,
I guess, but yeah, that's right. The ag supplies, they've identified me as kind of the overseer of supplies coming in, the logistics of phone calls and, hey, I've got this, where does it go? We've identified several locations as a distribution point that I can send semis or goosenecks or just flatbed truck loads of whatever it might be, and trying to make sure the love is spread over all those spots so folks don't have to drive so far to get what they need. And so I would be a good point of contact. There's some other folks that are helping me out on that, but, folks want to reach out to me, and from now until this is over, and I don't even know when it's going to be over, through the end of the year, I'm sure that I'll need to be in contact with folks to get supplies in here. And so, that is something that if folks have fence posts or some barbed wire, they've got some money they want to donate, we can set up accounts and get fence posts and different things to folks. And, we've been really blessed right now. Fencing supplies are going out as quick as they're coming in because folks are just trying to keep their livestock contained and different situations all over. But like you said, Bobby, it's definitely going to be a marathon.
Okay. What about just monetary donations, just reaching out to you? And of course we can put a link in the description on all the podcast platforms, YouTube, whatnot, that people can go to and get them in touch. But where to send something like that? Just same thing.
Yeah. You reach out to me. We've also, Tennessee Farm and Forest Families is set up a donation site online where folks, if they just want to send money, they can, and that goes to supplies and food in those affected areas. So, it's just a quick and easy way, and we can get that link to you, and you can get that up there if you want to. Or, if they just want to send a check, we'll make sure it gets spent where it needs to be spent for sure. And that's been happening. We've had folks send money straight to co-op and say, hey, I want to spend this on fence posts and barbed wire. And, local co-op shows up with 2 pallets and, one's T-post and one's a pallet of barbed wire. It's anonymous donation. Guy just called and said, put this on my account and take it over there. So that's been happening.
Yeah, that's good to hear. And I hope, a lot of our listeners are able, do something small if you can.
Like we said, it's, again, I keep thinking back to just around here when the tornadoes hit, and I mean, that's been a significant amount of time.
Yeah, a year and a half ago.
And it's still areas you drive through and there's destruction from the tornadoes. And I've seen where I remember specifically a person was complaining about why hasn't this been fixed, or why hasn't this been cleaned up, or this or that. And it's like, we got to understand this is a very slow process. I mean, and it's just, it ain't going to be an overnight thing, and I feel like most people probably recognize that, but there's going to be inevitably some people will be like, why haven't they done this? Why haven't they done that? And it's like, man, this kind of destruction isn't something that recovers quickly.
Well, yeah, and you're always, kind of feel like you're prepared, when the worst happens, but then when it does, I mean, heck, we had 2 schools in the county destroyed, and they're still going to school in temporary.
Yep.
And have they even broken ground on the new school?
I don't think so.
No, I mean, that still kind of blows my mind. It's like, all right, it's been a year and a half.
Yeah.
Like, at some point,
they're in like a big.
We need a little action on getting these kids a permanent structure for them to go to school again.
Yeah.
But wheels of government turn pretty slow. So.
We had a school, high school up here that was affected, got flooded pretty bad, and they've moved those kids to another city building to try to just get them back some type of normalcy. But who knows how long that'll be? Just like what y'all are experiencing, nobody really knows. At this point, can what has happened to that school be cleaned up, or is it a tear down and rebuild just because of the nasty in that water and the mud and the silt and the mold that's going to grow? Can you ever get ahead of that? And, it's definitely displaced those kids at that high school. And, there's school buses that were washed away, so they just got to figure out a lot of that to get those kids back in some type of normal.
Yeah. Well, and of course, I'm not nearly the first person to point this out, but yeah, I mean, in that part of the country, you worry about all sorts of natural disasters and whatnot, but, widespread flooding is probably not, on the top of the list in terms of things you're worried about and really ready for. And, I don't know if that kind of slows down that recovery any or not, but, you never know, I guess.
Yeah, we've had floods before. We're used to the flash flood warning or the flood watch that'll come across the screen on the television. But, we got that same warning this time, but the water rose another 30 feet higher than it had ever been before. We had a flood in 1977 and a family farm down off West Downs Bridge. They were flooded then. They moved everything to the second story in the house and got everything out of the lower barn and moved to the upper barn, and everything was good. And they done that this time. That it worked then. It'll work this time. And they done that. And then they sat and watched, and the water kept rising. And it got 18 feet into that house. The water would have been over my head in the second story of that house. And it was, that second story floor was covered in mud. And there's mud and silt between the floor joist in the first and second floors. I don't even know how that happened, but there's mud in places that it's not even exposed. And there's a lot of folks that sat and watched that water, and they were saying it was moving a foot a minute as far as how much it was rising, coming up that fast.
Yeah, it's just.
And there was there's a power dam that I think it stopped generating power in 1977, and it's still there. The water flows over the top of that dam, and they said it was flowing at 1.2 million gallons a second.
Phew, dang, man. Golly. I can't even imagine.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of I don't know, the power of water, and obviously water is like the most essential element to life. But just, I don't know, obviously the destruction. It's just hard to wrap your mind around, especially for those of us, 400 miles away.
Yeah. Well, we're kind of nearing the time here. You said you had kind of prepped him a little bit. Well,
and I was going to ask him too. We've obviously focused on the flood efforts for obvious reasons, and but you've been with Farm Bureau, and of course we have a lot of younger audience that are either in ag or wanting to get in ag. You want to hit a little bit on that? We've never had anybody from Farm Bureau on.
No, we hadn't.
Surprisingly, because we've got a lot of contacts there. But
I'm the chairman of the Young Farmers.
Oh, wow. Well, congratulations. I didn't know that.
I don't, I hate to say this, but I don't ever go to, I don't ever go to the meetings. I'm sorry to say.
Hold on. How does that work, Chairman?
Well, we have a pretty unimpressive Young Farmers group out here.
Well, I'll admit I've been to a meeting or two, and it didn't really go very far. And I guess some of that blame would go on people like me because I didn't get it.
And I guess if the chairman would do a better job, maybe it would get better. I don't
even know that I qualify as being a young farmer anymore.
No, actually, I think you're out, aren't you? Isn't it 35?
Yeah, he's out. That's right.
Yeah. I'll tell you, you're out.
Well, you're not far from being out.
No, I'm not. I'm aging out, but the skullet takes you out.
Yeah,
that's what gets you out of it. Yeah.
You start losing hair like I have, they know you're ready to go. But
give us, if you would, give us a rundown a little bit of kind of what the day-to-day looks like for you, and how you get to still be involved in agriculture, just like I said, in a different way.
Yeah, so being a regional field director, I cover 12 counties, and the easiest way to explain that is I'm a liaison from those county boards and that agriculture community to our folks in Columbia, where our headquarters are, and that's where we have our membership folks, our lobby folks, a lot of where the rubber meets the road, and it ends up in Columbia. And then from there, if there are issues, we take them to Nashville or DC or somewhere else, wherever the need may arise. And so I'm the conduit, if you will, to get that information flowing to and from those counties and connect the dots in that grassroots effort that Farm Bureau really started back in 1921 and has done a really awesome job keeping farmers connected and being the voice of agriculture and protecting that way of life. And, as far as every day, what I do is different. I may be on a farm visiting with somebody. I may end up on the telephone all day talking to folks or talking them off the ledge, or they've got a problem, an issue, whether it be with a bill that's coming up during the General Assembly, or if it's a law that needs to be fixed, or if it's just a local planning commission issue. It could be fence laws or, a neighbor problem, you name it. Folks got their issues, and I'm there to, I guess, be a listening ear and hopefully help them. And if I can't help them, I've got plenty of folks that I can connect them to. And so every day is different, and I cover that 12 county area. There are 8 field staff across the state. We all have anywhere from 8 to 13 counties that we serve as that conduit for those counties. And for folks that aren't familiar with Farm Bureau, and there's a county Farm Bureau board in every of the 95 counties. And so they kind of oversee what ag issues and that grassroots effort. And we get those folks together every year to develop policy and make sure the staff is working for what the agriculture community across the state wants. And so, whether that's tractor dealerships to folks driving the tractor and everywhere in between, consumer level as well, just making sure that way of life is protected for the next generation.
Gotcha.
No, yeah, that's awesome. Like I say, there's a lot of ways to be involved in agriculture other than just, being a cowpoke on the back of a horse or operating, big machinery. So encourage people, folks, young men and women trying to get involved, wanting to get in ag. Yeah. Look at all those opportunities. But yeah, Commander in Chief.
Yeah. Cue him up. Steven, he said he's kind of prepared you for this.
We're not very high tech here, as we always say.
We start off with 2 words. Made in America.
Made in America. Is there an American-made product or brand or whatever that you would put your stamp of approval on?
Yeah, so there's I'd call him a friend of mine, Dylan Neely, down in Decatur, Tennessee, southeast Tennessee. Got Tennessee River Implement, and you may see his brush cutters or box blades or bale spears or different things like that. At your local equipment dealer, and the logo on that's TRI, and so it's just a good local family operation that he got the knack for welding and building things out of metal in high school, and developed that into an implement manufacturing company that ships things. I don't even know how far he ships implements, but they come all the way up to my neck of the woods, and it's a good product.
Awesome, man. Well, that's good. That's even better. Not just American made, but Tennessee made. That's like that's a double whammy there. I'm all about that. Absolutely.
But yeah, folks will have to check them out. Also, you need to check out our buddies over at agzaga.com.
Yep.
They are your online ag retailer. Whether you're trying to get finished up bales or hay season, getting things winterized, they got stuff for all seasons, all needs. Check them out, agzaga.com.
That's right. Steven, thank you for joining us today, man. It's been an eye-opening episode.
I've enjoyed it. Appreciate y'all having me.
Yeah, and everybody, again, if you're able to, whether it is supplies, your time, or just sending a donation, follow the link, reach out to us, messages. We'll get you in touch with Steven. Because that's what it's all about, helping each other out. Because, you never know when you may be on the other end of that. And
Yep. All right, guys. We will catch y'all next week.
You've been listening to Talk Dirt to Me with your hosts, Logan and Bobby Lee. If you enjoyed this episode, we ask that you subscribe and leave a review. And we'll catch you next time